Blessings, BookTube. I've got a great one for you today. This is the Rambling Raconteur Sunday Shout Out. I wanted to highlight some Hispanic literature for Hispanic, Latinx, however you want to call it, Heritage Month. I guess it's a U.S. thing, right? But whatever. It's always a good idea to celebrate that area of the world. And I haven't done too much of it on my channel, I guess because the last 2-3 years I've been reading nothing but Spanish stuff, so I guess I need a little break. But today I am featuring an American creator. His name's Jack. I was sure he was a classicist because I know he speaks Latin, and you'll see some things on him like pseudo Plato and stuff like that you don't see except from true classicists. However, he actually teaches math and science, I believe. Apparently he came upon an old book in college in the study room, and it put him onto becoming a minor in classics, whereas he was majoring, I believe, in biochem or something like that. So we've got to be grateful for that. So, but today we're going to look at his reviews of Latinx literature. Now, why Jack? So, of course, I have a number of creators that I love. Jorge's Corner is not just my favorite Latino creator. He's probably one of my favorite creators on BookTube. But I have discovered a lot more Spanish-speaking, Spanish language, or English language, or bilingual, or with or without, subtitles, sites, or what do we call them? Channels, I guess, right? In the last few months. But still, my pick would have been Jorge had I decided to go with someone who focused on Latin literature. But what I decided I wanted to do instead was someone who focuses on other stuff, but who does a lot of Latin literature. I thought they deserve celebrating. Now, Jack can read shorter works in Spanish, so he has a certain level of Spanish. However, has become someone who lives in, I think, Phoenix. But the longer works he reads in English. But he's super knowledgeable in world literature in general. Here we're finally getting to people who are, after having done a bunch of shout outs of people who read things pretty different from what I read. Here we're getting to people who read things more akin to what I like to read. Jack, I would say, Rambling Raconteur is one of the closer channels to my own. Although he's wider read than I am, I'm sure. Well, let's get into it, shall we? So let's do as I like to do. Let's look at his playlist. So he's got a dozen or so, I would say. He's got a wide interest, as you can see, short stories. Oh, one of the things I love about him is he does plays, which not many people do on BookTube, so those are great. And you could see right away some of his classical stuff with the Euripides there. But he does, French. He does Ibsen, of course. Lysistrata, Aristophanes, some Shakespeare, of course, more Ibsen, Terence, a Roman comedy there, Iphigenia, a couple of Iphigenias, Chekhov. Yeah, so we're really, really widely read there. And whoops, go back. So he does plays and short stories. He has a few featured readers. One is Thomas Bernhard, is Austrian, I want to say, who I haven't read, but another channel quite close to my heart, Disappointed Man, also really loves him or has done a lot of videos on him anyway. So I need to read him. He's done Toni Morrison. He does a fair amount of African-American stuff on here, as well as African stuff. Who else? And you see he reads crime novels. He did a deep dive on Herodotus, who's the amazing historian, classic historian. He's got poetry there. We're back to the end. So, all right. So Augusta Long he's done a few BookTube things. If you watch, there's a way you can watch their posts in reverse order. If you do that, you'll see in his early going, he did a lot more. He's one of these who's been on for years. He did a lot more of his hikes and tags and things of that nature. So this was, here you can see, all the Caesars. So very classicist there. You can see why I thought he was a classicist, right? Jonesy for Janus is really interesting. This was a original tag he did with Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse. And there, the bag was that you were supposed to compare two different kinds of works. So Plato and Xenophon he did there, or, Grimm and von Schwertsworth. Yeah. So one thing that I love about him, at the end of his reviews or book discussions, he pulls out all these other books that he thinks are related to it. And there where you really see his breadth of reading. I can't speak to all of the connections he makes. I know some are a little more creative, for like Kiss of the Spider Woman and with King Solver. No, not King Solver. With what's her name? Hertzie Chomedy. Anyway, but of the authors that he pulls out that I know, he makes very interesting connections. So Marginalia, what was that one? Here you have to go down a little bit deeper to find some of his sci-fi that he does. This one, isn't it? He does Marginalia a few times. Where was the sci-fi? You can see he did a deep dive on Paradise Lost as well. Early novels and narratives. Was that where he had his sci-fi? No, we have all the sagas. He also did the saga long. He did all the sagas. Spy reads. Did a deep dive on the Odyssey, as you would expect. Anyway, one of these lists, you can go in and see quite a few of his sci-fi interests. But anyway, let's get into the world literature, specifically the Latin literature. So here are some of the people that he's done videos on, or some of the countries that he's covered. Czechoslovakia, Philippines, Botswana, Syria, Taiwan, Afghanistan, Guinea, Ghana, Cyprus, Bulgaria, Egypt, Pakistan, Cape Verde, St. Thomas, Syria, I think I already said Haiti. Anyway, Namibia, just a ton. So he's done videos on Laszlo, Aquinsky, Miaujin, Lahens, Kincaid, Alamar, Al-Sheikh, Kish, Rahimi, Mabanku, Adimi, Hopkinson, Lovelace, Trinidad and Jamaica as well. So Gyula, Jonaides, Biola, Anaadu, Lay, Kamara Lay, Rifat, Da Silva, Malinea Obo. So just a huge range, as you can see. Today we're going to look at what he did with Latin. And this is just what I found on it once going through. He's got tons of videos, so I'm sure I missed a bunch. But here's what I've got ready to show you. And I'll do my best to try to remember, because I watched a lot, what he had to say about most of these. Okay, so let's start with Peru. Here, and one of the things that's great is you can see he did, you'll quickly see that he did a lot of contemporary literature and he found a lot of female authors. So that's a good corrective for my Cervantes Prize video that I did for Latinx month, which, by nature of the list ended up being mostly men. Okay, so Here Be Icebergs was I believe that was a short story collection, and about found family. That's right. I think was this the one with a aging gorilla and an unhappy marriage. Anyway, more of a relational work, sort of more contemporary feel. Then you got Cesar Vallejo, of course, very famous Peruvian poet. Here we've got Chile. So Space Invaders by Nona Fernandez. This one, he had quite a bit to talk about. And then 2666 by Roberto Bolaño. Everybody's talked about that, so I won't spend too much time on that. Let me tell you a little bit more about Space Invaders. So here we have another short story collection, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously there's different things. I think it's 80s Pinochet, or maybe this isn't a short story. Sorry, this is an 80s era Pinochet with a drowning and youthful characters. He felt that the characters were depicted in an age appropriate way. Sorry, I'm not remembering that one very well. But let's get down into Mexico. So the first is you've got a crime novel by Aguilar Camín. Then you've got poetry, religious poetry, Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. There's also, I don't know where I put it, but Pedro Paramo's sort of ghost town, Quest for the Father, very popular on BookTube as well. He's got a video on that. And then this horror novel, The House Guest by Amparo Davila. I will ask you to forgive me. I did not watch the horror ones, as I don't really abide horror very, very well. But I can tell you about this crime one, Aguilar Camín. So this one, it's in, he also wrote Death in Veracruz. So this is a crime novel set in Mexico City. I want to say in the 70s. It's about root causes. It's about this girl who confesses to having put a hit on someone, and this boy's like feelings towards her. So sounds like pretty exciting, good read. So check that one out. Now we're moving into El Salvador. So El Salvador, we got The Dream of My Return by Horacio Castellanos. And the whole idea here is, are we crazy to go back to El Salvador? So many of our friends were tortured and disappeared. And this one has humor. This is kind of like a rock star, guerrilla type situation. You've got this anger, but that the Raconteur found a bit whiny at times, sort of hedonistic or nihilistic, solipsistic narcissism, he calls it at one point. There's a hypnosis scene that he reads. One of the things I love about Rambling Raconteur is he gives you selections from the work. He tells you, he reads scenes out and gives you examples of what he's talking about, and really gives you a feel for the thing, which I really wish more booktubers would do. So he has a great reading of the hypnosis scene here. Some long passengers a la Bernard. He compares that to Bernard. Yeah, okay, so there we go. That's El Salvador. Now we've got Cuba. Oh, okay, yeah. Alejo Carpentier, sort of one of the fathers of magical realism, although Rambling Raconteur prefers to think of it as Marvel. The Kingdom of This World, and the other one is The Chase. So Cuba, what have we got? So Chase is sort of unnamed characters in 50s Cuba. So it's sort of more of a painting of Cuba. It's Cuban society. So what would we call that? I would call that impressionistic. That's not a word I don't think he used. I think a lot of booktubers sometimes call that not anecdotal. What do they call that? Not scenic, but something of that effect. So sort of just like painting little impressionistic. No, that's my word. Just they had little scenes. That was the impression I got. And the other one is very famous. It's about the Haitian Revolution. Okay, so moving along at a good pace here. We have Alvaro Mutis and Maria Ospina. So again, another female author. And let's see, Mutis I know very well. Mutis wrote Mackerel, the Mackerel stories, great stories. And you can tell that Rambling Raconteur knows his stuff because there are certain authors, like I said before, I knew he was a real classicist by, his reading went beyond Herodotus and Homer to weird things like pseudo Plato and things of that nature. A lot of people who sort of casually, I'll say, read some Spanish stuff from now and again, will read a lot of the same titles. But usually people who read Mutis, authors such as that, they're more dedicated readers of Latinx authors, I've found. So Mutis is really fun. Definitely can recommend him. Now let's see what I can remember about this Maria Ospina. I'm pretty sure this time this was one of the short story collections. Sorry, they kind of ran together in my head a little bit. So let me refer, if I can find it, to my notes here. No, sorry, you'll be spared that. I have an observation to make about this phenomena, actually. So I was mentioning that I was kind of avoiding Latin literature after having read nothing but for a few years there. Not nothing but it was much easier for me to get literature written in Spanish. If you read too much too quick in a certain field, you can confuse those things, which is why some of these sprints and things like that, I'm not sure about them, to be honest with you. I used to do a lot of this, try to read all the Nobels at once or all of a reading list from one of the universities about Portuguese literature or something like that. And then you end up confusing a lot of them. So this is sort of the same thing when I watch all these videos for these Sunday shout outs. So also going to admit to being a little forgetful about Ariana Harwicks, our first Argentine, but you'll forgive me on this one because we've got, 7 or 8 Argentines. It's definitely likes Argentine literature. And I'm going to trust you for my specific video that I'm recommending. I know you love your list, so I'm going to recommend this top 5 Argentine novels. But I really hope you will go push through from there and pick one of those people that he features and go and watch the specific video on them, because then you'll see him really at his best doing the specific citations from that work, doing the comparison novels at the end, making interesting observations about the work, things of that nature. So I won't say too much about the Argentines then, because you'll see them when you watch the top 5 Argentine novels. Most of them talked about. Claudia Pinheiro is one of the female Latinx authors, Latina authors, that I think is better known on here anyway. Then there was Selva Almada with Dead Girls. Now this was a true crime. So I guess you could call this creative nonfiction. I did watch the video on that, but I didn't watch the one on the horror, Die, My Love by Ariana Harwicks. Oh, there's another Harwicks. That's right. 2 Harwicks, isn't it? Yep, 2 Harwicks. All right. And then he loves this Adventures of China Iron by Gabriela Cabeza Camara, which I've not read, but I will, because it sounds fascinating. So it's a sort of reimagining. No, it's an intertextual play with the Martin Fierro gaucho myth of Argentine literature, which you might know if you've read some Borges refers to it a lot, for example. It's great read if you're interested in gaucho poetry, sort of cowboy poetry. He calls this a feminist Western. He takes what the critics say about it, which is that it's kaleidoscopic, and then he has his own take on it. So that's sort of how he works. He'll throw in critics' work, specific citations, his own interpretations, and intertextual stuff as well. So really fun. Then you got The President's Room by Ricardo Romero, which to me sounded a lot like a lot of other, big man, strong man, caudillo, Latin American narratives, but you have to watch what he says about that. Probably you'll get more out of it than I did. And I don't know where I put it, but he also did one, of course, on Cortázar, one or two. Cortázar, of course, wrote Blow Up, which there was a great movie done. And then Cortázar, Hopscotch, which is, you can read it straight through, or you can read it sort of like a choose your own adventure novel. Check out Jorge's Corner's Hopscotch review, because he did a review in that same format that you can watch straight through, or that you can fast forward and back through different ways of playing with that review, which is a lot of fun. Definitely can recommend that. Okay, Cockfight by Maria Fernanda Ampuero. That's another horror, so forgive me, I didn't read it. But I did watch it, but I did watch the Pozo Wells one about Gabriela Alemán. What can I tell you about this one? So this one is absurdist. It's got a wonderful death sort of set piece that he highly recommends. There's such a horrific one-handed character. This is also another author that he compares this to, Rick Romero's with the kids in there as well. So that is Ecuador, right? Yeah, Ecuador, Alemán. And sorry, did I tell you who the others were? Yeah, Argentina. So Colombia, of course. All right, so Colombia, Argentina, Ecuador. You see, he's done most of the countries of South America, but only a couple Central Americans. But that's a couple more than most people do, or Mesoamerican if you want. With Mexico, then that would be 3. So now we get to, of course, Uruguay. So he doesn't have Paraguay per se, although one of the stories is set in, where did it, was it? I found out that I didn't know that was set in Asuncion, when it was the frontier. It's now the capital of Paraguay. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, so Uruguay, here's another one that I don't know why a lot of people don't read, but people who grew up reading Spanish all read Horacio Quiroga's fables. It's animal stories and longer animal narratives. There's one called Anaconda. Really fun, really great. Definitely recommend. And then Eduardo Galeano, another favorite of his, I think. He also has a video on this Memory of Fire series. He's got Genesis, and he's also got the second in the series. So that's like a massive, mega, revisionist history of Latin America, kind of like Terra, whatever it is, by Fuentes, the Mexican Fuentes, not the Fuentes that we're going to meet here today. That's just not the Mexican Fuentes of Death of Artemio Cruz. So that's Uruguay. This must be Guatemala. Yes, Guatemala. So the Central American flags look like that light blue there, and they have different things in the middle, though. So it's kind of hard to see on the TV. So this is Trout, Belly Up by Rodrigo Fuentes, not the Mexican Fuentes. And what can I tell you about this one? Let's see. Well, I know I had a note about it. And there it is. So, oh yes, very interesting. So these are short stories, but not in the Borgesian tradition at all. And he read an interesting passage about trout fish and a knife fight to demonstrate that these short stories, or the style at least, is quite spare. So think Chekhov, Carver, that kind of thing. So that's Fuentes. Next, we've got, there's Pedro Paramo. I already talked about Mexico. Okay, so that's about it. I won't talk about these, but in the interest of inclusion, I would include the Brazilians because it seems absurd to me to leave out the third largest language group in the Americas. yeah, it's definitely, of course, a Romance language like the others. So why not? Latinx, Brazilian. We got Clarice Lispector. You all are reading, or at least watching about on BookTube. So don't need too much there. But then there's some others here. Another female author, Tatiana Salem Levy, Ana Paula Maya. This one I have read, The Posthumous Memoirs of Bras Cubas. Amazing, hilarious. What do we call that? Postmodern before there was postmodernism. Definitely can recommend that one. And then I always err on the side of inclusion, even the colonizing culture. So would include Spain as well. He's got a bunch. He's got Garcia Lorca. He's got Joan Salas, which is that is a male John. And you've got Julian Rios, and then there's that other Cortazar. Okay, so there we go. That's Jack, the Ramblin' Raconteur. Check him out. Watch the 5 top Argentine novels, and then click through and watch one of those novels be reviewed in detail. You will be well rewarded by spending your time with this fabulous booktuber. And muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. Bye.